good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone. How are you? Welcome to our welcome to our July edition of the Man to Man series. I just want to say welcome to the very first person. Yeah, just experienced a little bit, a bit of with my network. So I just want to say welcome to those that are on board right now that I can see. Ademo, Diakin, Theo, Mashi, Basi, welcome to you all. If you're online, if you've already connected, just say hello in the comment section so that we know that you're with us. And please ensure to like and subscribe as we go on. So, without wasting so much time, we have our speaker on. Today, we're going to be talking about something that is it's dear to me. Also, it's something that I've experienced when the breadwinner is down. What happens? What do you do to mitigate such from happening? And if it happens, along the line somewhere in our lifetime we would experience a low time. What would we do? That is what I and the speaker, Mr. Yemi Faseun, will be discussing with you this evening. So let's make welcome the speaker for today's series, Mr. Yemi Faseun, as I add him to the stage. Hello, Sayamo.
Hey, Georgie, Anna, good evening and good evening, everyone. Good evening from this side, but maybe it's good morning or good afternoon from anywhere people might be watching from or listening to us from. Great to be here. Thanks for adding me, George.
Nice to have you on board. Um, for many people that might not know, Yemi is like a senior brother we've known for years. Um, I think over 20 years.
Over 20 years.
Yeah, over
Over
20
20,
years.
over 20 years, yeah.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
it's great. So let's delve into the issue at hand. When the breadwinner is down, I'll start by giving a story, my own experience. I remember, I know how it can be psychologically when, as the breadwinner of the home, you resources, your finances take a dip. It becomes a bit, strenuous, or there is a lot of pressure on you to tend to turn things around. So, like I was saying, I had a particular instance when my son was in school, and I'd only been able to pay part of the school fees, and I was going around trying to see how I could raise money. He had his midterm test to do, and he he was stopped. They stopped him from doing the midterm test. I had paid over 50% of the school fees. But they said that he would not do his tests. Otherwise, I pay up the balance for that semester. And my son calls me. I could hear it in his voice. He was almost in tears that, oh, this is what um, they said. I tried to speak with them. Nobody listened. So I had to run around, rally. In fact, I had to meet people that ordinarily I would not have gone to meet to borrow money, as it were, at that time to make up the balance of the school fees. But eventually, in 48 hours, I was able to raise the balance and I paid it. So he was able to write his test. I felt so bad. I have not felt that bad as a father until that day. I felt so bad because I felt I I had let my son down, and I had put him in that situation as as a father. You know, that it's my responsibility to ensure that he doesn't go through that. Whatever I have to do, I have to ensure that I have to do it to meet up. So that's just one of the instances in many that I know men go through. You know, not being able to meet up with your responsibilities as a father, as a husband, as a son. You know, if you have aged parents that are relying on you to take care of them. So I know that is what that's those are the things that men we go through. So I'll start by asking you um, some questions that have been shared with us. So one of the questions that we have is, let me start by asking you, do you have a personal experience that you've gone through like this to share
Yeah.
with us?
Okay, so let me quickly say this. You know, when you said to me that we're going to have this conversation and you shared the topic with me, in my mind, I'm like, I'm not an expert in any way in this matter. I'm not a financial management expert. Um, yeah, I have a home. Yes, we go through different phases of life. But honestly, I've come here to learn as much as I can as well. I'm not lying to you. But have I had some challenging experiences from a financial standpoint? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I have. Um, ah, I'm sure you know my career story. I'm very, what's what I'm looking for? Very shifty in my 31 years work experience, 8 to 5, I worked in 13 organizations. And this is not to say that it was because I was looking for financial breakthrough that I was moving from one job to another. But also, financial stability will come in at some point in the equation when you think about the need to be balanced for yourself financially and also to be balanced for the family. Because on a very personal note, I see taking care of the family as a divine responsibility, right? So, have I had instances where things were really downhill financially? Yes, I have had. But one of the things that I think I have done over the years is to try and be one step ahead of either the decision to take when that happens or taking that decision ahead of time before it happens. So that has been my balancing act, so to say, over the years, to understand that there are phases and seasons in life, and therefore, that thing we were brought up with, say for the rainy season, right?
Yeah,
I'd
yeah,
always understood the difference between focusing on my wants and focusing on my needs. You know what I mean? So needs will
yes,
take priority. Wants can always wait. So all of that, all of the financial discipline um, theories, financial discipline engagements and conversations that I have been exposed to over the years, I think personally for me, they've come into play in understanding, therefore, how to manage those moments. So it's two things. Number one, anticipating if it should happen, what you will do. And then the second thing is quickly looking for options when that circumstance really happens.
happens.
Hmm.
Great, great, great. I like that. Anticipating what might be, and like you said, planning for the rainy day, not to
Correct.
get caught unawares when it happens.
Yep.
Um, Putting your needs ahead of your wants. I think,
Yep.
which is one of the things that a lot of us have not yet to master. So before I continue, forgive me, I have not read out your profile. So let me read
We
out
can
your
skip it.
profile.
Let's skip the profile. Let's just go on. The conversation has started. Skip the profile. My name is Yemi Faseun. That is all anybody needs to know. So let's go on. It's interesting already. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what steps are taken to manage finances during this kind of period? You talked about putting money away for the rainy day. So I think that takes care of it. And another question that had come is, how do you prioritize spending and savings during this time?
Mm. See, if you can't prioritize between your spending and your savings when the seasons are good, you will not be able to do it when the season is bad. I'll say that again. If you don't or can't do it when the season or the seasons are good, it will be very difficult. Let's not kid ourselves. It will be very difficult to do it when the rough season now happens. And rough seasons are not a matter of if, they are a matter of when. That's the
Mm,
reality, right? Um, Summer will not last forever. Spring will not last forever. If we come to our local environment, rainy season will not last forever. The dry season will not last forever. There will be harmattan. There will be that period between January and April when the weather is so hot. You would think that they open the gates of hell in Nigeria. For some of us who live in this part of the world, right? But then by the time you go into end of April, May, another season starts. So we got to have that understanding that one season will not last. So when things are good, when things are rosy, when the income is coming in, when the promotion are well, when the business is booming and all that, that is a time to actually start embedding the disciplines of financial management. We should not wait. We cannot wait until the seasons become rough and the weather becomes inclement before we now start thinking what to do. Sincerely, it will be tough for anyone. So, mine is again anticipate and prepare.
mm.
Put something
So,
away when the income is assured and guaranteed. When you are in that financial services sector and you are getting your upfront and you're getting your salary and you're getting bonus or profit sharing, please put something away, either in simple financial instruments like savings account or fixed deposit, or you want to go into mutual funds, naira, FX, and on whatever you've got to do, just close your eyes and put something away. That suit may have to wait. That car may have to wait. That house that you are eyeing, you want to move from one place to another. If you are struggling to do anything, this is another part of it for me. If you are struggling to do anything financially, maybe it's not time yet for you to do it. Let
mm,
me give you an example of myself, and you know a bit of my story. My first daughter, by the time we had her, I mean, we waited a couple of years to have our first child, about 6.5 years. By that time, I was able to afford her going to Grange School at Kejajari. So Tiwajope went to Grange. I had the second about maybe 4 years, 5 years later, and then we were still able to afford her to go to Grange. And then I had a thought, Tani Toluwa. That meant I was going to have three kids at Grange at the same time. I'm just being very vulnerable on this call.
mm.
That means I was going to have three kids. And my expectation was that maybe Grange was going to give me 10 or 15% discount on their school fees, and I'll still be able to manage. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And by
yeah.
this time, my first daughter had done her primary school. She was in year six. She was going to go into secondary. My second was in year two. She was going to go to year three, and then the third was going to join. So I was going to have three kids, one in secondary and the other two in primary at Grange. And I was expecting some handsome discount on all three of them. But what I got was 5% discount on the tuition of the last child. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
It's full tuition for Tiwa, full tuition for Titobi, and then for Tani it was going to be 5% on the tuition. There are so many other additions, or when you have your school fee bills, there is tuition and then there is and. But just on the
Mhm.
tuition, 5% discount. And I had a conversation with myself, and we had a conversation as a family, my wife and I, and we realized there's no point struggling. If the kids are, if my first is going to still do another 5 or 6 years in secondary, and the other ones are just joining or coming behind, I mean, that was going to stretch our finances. I shopped around for another school, and that's how we moved them to Temple. Today, honestly, I have absolute no regrets moving the kids, all three of them at the same time. So Tiwa Jope, my first, now did secondary school at Temple, and then the others changed. My second changed from year 2, 3 to year 3, 4, and then the one who was started afresh from Temple, all three of them. And we were able to manage. I mean, my first daughter is studying medicine now, great results. I don't know what difference it would have made if I insisted to struggle because I want my daughters to be at grade school and all that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we've got to be able to take such decisions from time to time. Like I said, the reason I gave that example of mine is to say that if we are struggling to do it, maybe we don't have to do it.
Yeah. I like what you just shared. It's Let me paraphrase it. It's using the Nigeria term, cut your coat
Yep.
according to your size.
Not according to your size anymore, according to
To
your.
your pockets.
Thank you. Exactly, according to your pocket. Yes, yes.
And one of the things that you've said it that I've always believed is, as a father, as a parent, it is important that you have to be liquid. You have to have liquidity. So in the times of that need, there is something you can call on to sort out that need. This same thing that you said was the same thing that I went through when I was shopping for a school for my kids. And I said, look, I don't want a situation whereby it gets to a stage I need to pay school fees. I'm running from pillar to posts, to ensure that it is done. So let me ask you the next question. How does this change in the breadwinner situation impact the mental health of family members? How do you cope with these emotional challenges?
Ah, like you say, in this part, Omo, it's not easy. When it happens, honestly, when it happens, it's not the easiest thing. It's not. I mean, in my 13 organization career that I mentioned, it wasn't as if it was all rosy. 2 or 3 times, I actually lost my job. I was told to go, right?
Mm,
But if I could just play on two sides, the human side, and I'll come back to the other side. I'll mention the other side shortly. But let me
yeah,
first play on the human side. The human side is, please just get ready. Anything can happen. Let's get ready.
ready.
Anything can happen. That's the reality. Try and imagine me as head of HR. We call it HR director, call it country head of human resources in an organization where I had done well, promoted in a year, got salary increase 50%, got promoted to the next level in the same organization. 2, 3 years later, 3 years plus later, I got to work on a Monday morning, and another head of HR had been recruited in my stead without my knowledge.
Wow.
I'm not kidding you. I'm telling you real life stories. I have shared it before, so I mean, happy to share it. Monday morning, go to work. Another head of HR had been recruited, and the first thing this head of HR said to me is, "Yemi, now that now that I've resumed, you need to find another job." Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm sure that is not on LinkedIn. I mean, everybody will go and read my profile. The profile you wanted to read, I'm sure that one is not there. You
It's
see
not
why I
there.
don't allow people?
It's
It's
never
not
on
there.
anybody's. It's never on anybody's
Absolutely.
profile.
I don't allow anyone read my profile when I'm speaking because all the real, some unpleasant, some ugly stories, which have added up to where we are today, they're not there on public domain. So let's drop profile. Let's be real. So imagine that happening, right? And I didn't have another job for 9 months. The only saving grace was that I was moved to a project within the same organization whilst I was seeking for another job. So did he impact on my well-being? I guess I've been lucky. I must say this, George. I think I've been lucky, almost like I had been
I,
prepared for such moments.
yeah, I think I'll use the word blessed instead of
I'll
lucky.
come to that. I said there are two sides. I said the
Mm.
human side and the other side. I'll come to the other side. So when I say I've been lucky, what I meant was I exposed myself to reading many books after MBA
Mhm.
school. I mean, Brian Tracy, Zig Ziglar, Anthony Robbins. Who again was I reading? John Maxwell. I loaded myself up with the books that those guys wrote right after school, almost like preparing for the future. So the elements of being positive, the elements of trying again, the elements of not giving up, the elements of now let me start going to the other side, the elements of faith, the elements of grace, the elements of divine blessings and divine orchestration of things, supporting or complementing the things that we need to do as individuals. All of that just came into play at different times in my own journey.
Mm.
Remember, I said to you when I was giving my example of Grange that I didn't have a child for 6.5 years. You can imagine how that may have been. But one of the things that held us together was me. I believe that I am an incurable optimist generally. If I go to
Mm.
our shop right down the road on a Friday evening and there is no parking space, I am driving there with the belief that one space is waiting for me.
It's waiting for
And,
you.
and 8, 9 out of 10 times that has happened. So where I'm going now, so the things that we need to do, get ready, be prepared, continue to give value to your ecosystem. I need to come to that, right? Build your skills, build your competencies, build a solid network because those three things will bail you out.
Mm.
I'll mention them again: your skills, your competencies, and a solid network. And that solid network for me is not just friends that I can call; they are friends that I have added value to as well. You see what I mean? How
Yeah.
I how I describe building a network is add value to your network. When it is time for you to draw or withdraw from that account, it will be very, very easy to do.
Mm.
Right? As I speak to you now, I've been doing my own business for like 2.5 years now, 2 years, 8 months, and people have been doing things for me for free. The guy who built my website, the guy who set up my email address and all that, they came to me to say, I mean, what can we do for you? Without necessarily paying. And this is not based on now, this is based on skills, competencies, and a solid network that one has built over the years. So will it impact us mentally? Yes, it will. I remember one of the instances. This is this serious level of vulnerability. I'm not sure even you and the person you call here. I don't even know she. I don't think she knows this part of the story. And thankfully, she's upstairs. I'm downstairs now. Right. One of the one of the instances when I said I lost my job. Right. When we had a meeting over a weekend period, a strategy meeting, and I knew that the outcome of that strategy meeting was not good. I drove all the way from Lekki to 7 Up. Listen to this, Judge. To 7 Up in hot tears because I was afraid of the future. I didn't have an idea of how the future was going to unfold. But once I got to 7 Up, I cleaned my face, cleaned myself up. I got home and life returned to normal. It took me that long to grapple with the new reality. But when I thought about it in my mind, and I already between that Lekki while I was going through that moment and that 7 where I made that turning to come to Alausa. I mean, I still had Omole phase one. Between that time, alternatives started coming up in my head
Wow.
in terms of what next, right? And when it was so unclear, but at least there was some element of next steps, right? And it was a Saturday, Sunday, Monday. By Monday morning, I resumed running my own business, YF Talent Partners. I had registered that business in 2019. So this happened in 2020. So between
So
about
you had already created an exit plan.
absolutely. That's why I said don't feel too comfortable in the future. Comfort zone is the deadliest zone ever. We must
Mm.
constantly spend some time in the future. We can't afford to get too comfortable. The zone of ease, the zone of comfort is so deadly. We need to start the future now, even if it's just in our thoughts. So Sunday, I just chilled, and then I caught somebody over the week on a Sunday, and I say, hey, I'm rolling off 8 to 5, and I'm thinking of an office. The guy was like, why, what are you looking for an office? Come to my office. My office is available for you anytime. And when I eventually started, this guy left his office for me, gave me somewhere within the environment to work and all that. Again, the power of network. So that's one side. Get ready, build skills, build capabilities, build a solid network
For the
that you
network.
can rely
Yeah.
on, right? The second part, of course, is grace, is God, the God
Mm.
factor. I personally will never take it away from the equation of my life, right? I mean, it's one thing to say build skills, build capabilities, but man, if one is not full of blessings from a divine perspective, so many
Yeah.
people are doing all of that on the right side, but if there is no support, divine support on the other side, it may amount to zero, right? And I know other people, many other people who say they are successful without considering the grace factor. It's not impossible. So this is my own story. You see what I mean? So yeah, for me, one of the things that's my anchor, why I don't go into mental breakdown or emotional mess is
Mm.
I have a saying that is love for me in times past forbids me to think he'll leave me to sink at last. That's my personal anchor. I have seen circumstances turn around over time for me before. So when this one happens again, what I just need to do is to think of what next, and of course with divine support. Yeah, things happen again. But I know that sincerely many people are not planning for it. They're not thinking about it. It happens so suddenly, and then we go into a mess. One of the ways I'll say to anyone listening to mitigate is please plan for the future. Don't spend all the moment in the moment. Spare your 20% or your 30% to start thinking, living, planning for the future. Because man doesn't know at times when he's caught in a snare.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, what you shared about uh, having a new HR head resume without you knowing. I had a similar experience at the last company that I worked before venturing on my own. Thank God, like you said, I'd already registered the company. So I had worked in some of the companies that I had worked in. I recognized the importance of having an exit strategy, something to fall back on in case the uneventual um, sack or you're told to leave or something like that happens. I came into the office on a Monday morning and we're having our Monday management meeting. I was the business development manager at this company. It was a local company. And I saw a new guy seated, I had said hi to him and all that. And then the GM, um, the GM comes in, and while introducing him, she says, "This is the new business development manager." Now, you can imagine what happened in the room. Everybody just turns to look at me like, what's happening here? You know? And I said, I didn't say anything. I kept quiet. The MD comes in, and tries to smoothen things off and says, "Oh, he's the business development manager for this angle of the business. I'm the business development manager for this angle of the business." But you see, once that happened, I knew that on more, the handwriting was on the wall. I had to start making moves to leave.
Mm.
And as God would have it, an opportunity came, and I took advantage of that opportunity. Once I had done it, I just came, gave my 1 month's notice, and I left. Until today, I think this was about 4 or 5 years ago.
Mm.
I've been doing my own thing. I've been running my own business. It's not been smooth sailing, but then I thank God for where He's brought me, and of course, we're going further.
Mm.
Two things I took away from what you said: incurable optimists and a solid network, a network that
Yep.
you've already added value to would
Right.
help you. So, if anyone hasn't started investing in that network, he needs to. I came. Was it 2 years ago? I woke up one morning in January and I said to myself, George, this your network that you think you've created is not as solid as
Mm.
you thought. So I have been intentional about trying to create, to improve on my network,
Yeah.
even at this stage of life I'm in, at this my age. I've not sat down and said, okay, everything is rosy and everything is pretty. That word, incurable optimist, it's it's resonating so much in me that that wherever you go, you have something there, no matter how much it's full. Even if you're going into an organization that they are already doing business with somebody, that's optimism that something is there for you
Correct.
is, yeah,
Mm.
awesome. Um, so one of the offshoots of the question I asked is, how do you cope with these emotional challenges? The mental health of the family members. How does it impact them? Um, I know for me, my family, when the money is low, I call them. I say, people, see, oh, it is like this. So it's not as if I don't want to do it, but for now, let's leave it like this. The barest um, the barest
Expensive.
needs, the most
Yeah.
essential needs is what we can meet up with right now.
Mm.
When more money comes in, we can now go into other needs. So let me just leave you to say something about that.
I'm about to say something that's going to shock you and possibly anybody listening to me. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
It took me
My
nine
my
months.
seatbelts are is
It took
on.
me it took me 9 months to get another job. When I got
Hmm.
to work, and there was another head of HR recruited in my space, and I was moved to a project, and I was told to find another job. It took me 9 months to find another job. Luckily, the project was still running, so it didn't really impact financially, just impacted career growth and maybe you can say image and ego and all of that. But nobody knew at home. I didn't
Hmm.
mention it to anybody. I I what's the word? And this is not me not wanting to share, but I just don't till now. I don't like my anything unpleasant around me, even financially, to affect family. So I absorb the shock.
Hmm.
That's the way to say it. I usually absorb the shock myself. But remember that I would have been thinking of alternatives even before it happens. Remember that when it happens, I will spend some time to brood and cry, and but I don't last long in that cave or in
And that,
that pit.
yeah.
I'm already thinking of alternative. If it's to go and loan money, if it's to go back to the investments that we have made, if it's to go and sell something, we will reduce if it impacted, if any of the unpleasant situations impacted income, it will mean delaying some things that we wanted to do or not doing some things at all, right? But usually, I just try to absorb the shock myself whilst I'm looking for alternatives. That's how I've dealt with it because I'm always thinking, if you now share and then it starts to impact the environment itself. So I tend to share the barest, hey, I've left this organization. I'm looking for the
Hmm.
next thing. I've left and I'm going to start running my own thing for the next couple of months and let's see how it goes. And guess what? I've always had a supportive person in my wife. No time. There's been no time we had such changes that we're now thinking, what's going to happen to us or how we're going to do and all that. It's always a supportive word, supportive action, supportive prayer, and all of that. So it makes the burden a lot lighter as well. So we need to be careful that we are making our homes. I mean, this is a man to man forum. We need to be careful that we are making our homes a heavenly place and not hellish, so that when we are expecting our angels to come and support us, they will be there because angels don't live in hell. You know what I mean? You wouldn't
Yes.
have made the environment a place of hell over the years or months, and then when circumstances change, we're now looking for support. I don't think that it will happen. I don't think we should expect it to happen. So mine is absorb the shock, with me, for me, in my space as much as possible, and then look for alternatives. What next? The next job, the next business to do, the next endeavor, and then yeah, we move on.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Wow. Um, um, learning some new things.
Don't do
Um,
copy and paste. Okay, so another thing. Let me tell you, George. Before you say that, don't do copy and paste. Do copy, edit, edit, and then you can paste. Because again, circumstances for individuals are
are
different.
different. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Okay.
the principles may be adopted, may be copied, but in terms of doing Control V within our own context, let's edit before we paste. I always
Hmm.
advise that. Always, always. Yeah.
Great. Great.
Mhm.
Now let me go to this next question. It says,
Right.
what external support systems like friends, extended family, community resources are most helpful during this period? I mean, you said some things about, having a strong network, ramping up your skill sets, so that it makes you more, uh, what's the word, more attractive in the employment market. So, what kind of external support systems do you have when you experience things like this?
Um, be careful the sort of brand, personal brand you are building. over the years.
Hmm.
Be very careful who you are becoming to other people. Be very careful every interaction that you leave behind. Be careful that your reputation goes ahead of you, but please leave
Mhm.
character behind at every interaction. How you make people feel, they will never forget. What you tell people, they may forget, but how you make people feel, they will never forget. Every interaction matters. You, one of the things I don't also, I mean, I try to discourage it is don't look for help or don't look for a network or don't look for your friends in terms of needs. Be there for them already when things are rosy. Be that
Mhm.
individual that people can also call upon. Even if you don't have money to give, you can have a word of advice. You can sit with them without even saying anything, just being there for them.
For them, yeah.
Invest your time, invest your resources. If you have money, invest your money within a network. Because honestly, at every point of a downtime or a downhill moment, we all need some sort of support to fall back on.
Mm.
As an example, I left Athronicin in 2002. This experience that happened to me was in 2010, right? It happened in 2009 July. I was told to leave 2009 July. And then I was seeking other opportunities and nothing came until about 6, 7 months later. After understanding that I left in 2002, the same unit, executive selection and services, was where somebody called me in 2010, early 2010, January, February, to say, Yemi, we have an opportunity in this organization. Are you interested? 8 years elapsed time. Imagine if we had spent time then at Athanasin as the boss, the guy who don't relate with other people. If you didn't build a solid personal brand that people can come back to you to relate with. I mean, out of everybody who could have anchor that role in Nigeria, why was it that it was somebody that, oh, worked here 8 years ago that we should call? There are thousands of other people that could be called. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
let's be careful of the personal brand that we are building. At the end of the day, who we are or who we have become to people might be the reason other people will stand up for us. Be careful of your personal brand. Your personal brand is not what you call yourself on LinkedIn, not what you call yourself on Instagram, not your appearance, not the pictures that we post, not the sweet stories that we tell on social media. No, our personal brand is what people feel of us at every single interaction. I have seen an instance that it was a former colleague at one of the places that I worked 6 years later who called me for an opportunity to be his boss, another head of HR role. Imagine if, I mean, the gap between us was wide. I was a DGM in that bank, EGM, DGM. This guy was a banking officer or senior banking officer, believe me. And then after 6 years, I grew in my career. He grew in his career, became an assistant manager. His head of HR left, and they were looking for another head of HR. And he picked up the phone and called me. Yeah, meanwhile, we're looking for head of HR. Are you interested? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So let's be careful. Our footprints, we need to be careful of our footprints in the sand of time. The sand of time, our footprints, we need to be careful because they come up mysteriously in the future. Life has an uncanny way of bringing our past to bear on either our moment or on our future. So I always advocate your personal brand, your character, your values, your true north at moments of dark time like this will speak for you. People will be there to support you. They will be there to help you. But that will be
Mhm.
because you have supported other people, you have helped other people as well. And then it will be time, almost like payback. So don't wait again. As I started, let me also say that don't wait until moments when you need people. Pay life forward. Life doesn't owe us anything. It has a very, very mysterious way of paying us back when we pay things forward. But be careful of your personal brand. Be careful of the value you give off within your ecosystem.
Investing in goodwill.
Correct. The best capital today is not funds, is not money. I'm sure, George, you know many businesses that have raised capital, seed round, Serie A or whatever it is, and the
Yeah,
businesses have collapsed. The businesses
yeah,
have collapsed now. But there are so many other businesses where they've not raised a dime. But the best capital is social capital, your goodwill. Build it on a daily basis as you are building a solid brand. That is invaluable for you, whether you are in
mm,
career or business.
yeah. I totally agree with that. Like I've shared with several people, in building that goodwill, you have the likes of, you said something, whenever you're living somewhere or in your relationships, ensure you leave character behind.
Yes.
And amongst that character is integrity.
Yep.
And I've shared several times with people in my business how I have gone to do business with organizations and I need credit, but I don't have any collateral. Well, because some of these people, I had had one thing or the other to do with them
Mm.
in the past.
Right.
They were able to vouch for me. And when I'm
Mm.
talking about credit level, I'm talking about in the region of millions, tens of
Mm.
millions.
Mm.
So you can imagine an organization taking a bet on this man. How are we sure he will not run away with our
With
money?
our money.
You see, but at every time I have always met up. And you see, when the opportunity comes, there is more to ask for. They are comfortable because
Mm-hmm.
I have kept to it. And then you can imagine one of these people moving to another organization and he meets me there. Oh, no, this man is a good man. He won't do such.
Mm.
So that's I'm really enjoying this our conversation.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm enjoying it. So let me ask you this last question.
Right.
I think basically you've answered a lot, but I'll still go ahead and ask it. What measures do you put in place to safeguard against future uncertainties regarding the breadwinner's ability to work?
No, so that's different. That's actually different. So, and I love to say this. Maybe I don't think I've said it. We must, especially for some of us in career, because when we say breadwinner, most times I think we relate it to those of us in career. The businessmen like you guys are making money in millions. So I mean, it's for people in 8 to 5, right? When we say breadwinner, but this is one of the things I have said maybe like 6, 7, 8 years ago. Don't don't plan to be in employment. Always plan to remain employable. There is a difference. Don't just focus on today's job and today's skills. Today's job, today's skills will keep the money coming for today, right? But if you know the dynamics around the now of work in the last 4 years since the pandemic, you will see that a lot around us has changed.
True.
Millions of things have changed. We have new skills in the workplace. Now, the
Mm-hmm.
individual who has certain skills before the pandemic, right? If that individual was doing very well in certain space, certain fields, right, and then wants to be in the now of work with the same set of skills, that individual is not employable. So it is employability that should be at the back of our minds rather than remaining employed. Remaining employed, anything can happen. So when I said build skills, build capabilities, it's a T-shaped approach to
Mm,
that. So T-shape as in your area of core competence today, be deep in that area. You know when you're drawing the letter T, capital letter T, it's like this and then it goes like that. So be deep, but also be very broad in other skills. Develop transferable skills for tomorrow that will allow you to be employable. Now, I'm not saying everybody should do coding or everybody should do software development or everybody should go into IT, but we all need to do that. We all need to know that IT and tech, they are enabling every job in different ways in today's world or today's workplace. So don't be left behind. The skills that you had 10 to 15 years ago, prior to 2020, may not be what you will need to survive from now going into the future. So constantly be on your toes to self-develop and self-improve. And that's the only way our relevance in the marketplace or even in business will be guaranteed. Lastly, I'm very conscious of time on this. I mean, I'm sure you know that I spent about 25, 26 years in the HR space, working in different organizations. But
yeah.
since I became a consultant, believe me, I haven't made more than maybe 2 or 3% of my income in the space of HR. I have more or less pivoted into the space of leadership. Now, if I did not learn myself to learn new things, new skills, new capabilities, new tools within the space of leadership, then the ecosystem will not be able to relate with me on that level. As a matter of fact, when I stepped back into HR consulting. But the market itself continued in the last 2 years to box me into the leadership corner more and more. So the things that I do now, over 95% of the things that I do are in the leadership space. Meanwhile, I spent about 25, no, I spent my total number of 30 years doing sales, direct marketing, and HR. But that is not what I've done in the last 2 years. So number one, we've got to be agile, and then we must adapt. Adaptability and agility will make us to be continuous employable, and then future income will be guaranteed as well.
Fantastic. Be agile and
Adaptable.
adaptable.
If you add the two words together, what you get is adaptagility. That's a new
Okay.
word. Adaptagility. Yeah. Tagility.
Adaptagility.
Yes, being adaptable and being agile.
It's in the dictionary.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. It's not there. Yeah.
Oh, oh, that's fantastic. Fantastic. So, um, being agile, adaptability, develop transferable skills for tomorrow,
Yeah.
always plan to remain employable.
Correct.
So, even if you experience a downtime, you will not be out for that long. Why?
Correct.
Because over time you have gathered several skill sets.
Mm.
Um, one thing, one mentality I know I developed right from when I started working was I invested in trainings for myself, which is one thing one of my bosses told me and said, I don't wait for the organization to train me.
Yeah.
I ensure I train myself.
Mm.
I can remember one of those times that I came to meet you at your home, when I just started working and sit down with you and we're talking about sales and all, and I was getting some tips from you
Yeah.
to, to apply in my role as a sales executive at that time, and it was helpful. So garnering the requisite skills, to help build your 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 profile.
Hmm.
So, Sayemo, can you leave us with a word as we round up?
Hmm.
1 2
Well,
minutes.
I think I'll just say that the future isn't guaranteed. Let nobody make any mistake around that. The future is not guaranteed, but we can always future prove ourselves by getting ready for change, and then understanding that we need to do some things in the moment before the future happens. I'll relate the future to a pregnant woman. Pregnancy, the arrival of a baby gives 9 month notice at least. So let's see the future as a baby that is coming. That's the future. So what do we need to do? We need to plan for it. One of the days my dad said to me, I mean, he's been with me for about 20 years, and he said he needed money. My wife suddenly born. I said, okay, buddy, a woman doesn't suddenly born. He will give you at least 9 months notice. So you need time to plan for that. So let's see the future as the advancing arrival of a baby that we need to plan for. The future doesn't suddenly happen. It happens it doesn't happen in a day. It happens daily. We therefore also need to future prove ourselves by preparing daily so that we can meet that envisaged future. George, are you there? Hello, George, can you hear me? I'm not sure you can hear me again, George.
Hello.
Yeah, George, I'm here.
Yeah, sorry. My internet decided to throw me out.
Right. The
Yeah,
pellet. It happens. But you had the thing that I said. You heard the thing that I said.
I had it till the
Okay.
time I got thrown out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I want to thank you so much, Mr. Yemi Fashion, for being with us and for adding value to our lives. I'm sure all those that were online and connected would have taken out some key points that they can apply to their lives. And one thing that you have said, which is very true, is that the future really is not guaranteed, but we can plan to make the most out of it.
Correct.
And that's one of the takeouts also for me, you know. And some of the things that you said, I have done it. So it just enforces that I need to keep doing it, and stay on that part. So I just want to say thank you very much and God bless you. I
Amen.
know you're very busy. Thank you for taking out this time to be with us and be a blessing to us.
Thank
God
you.
bless you. And my love to
Amen.
the family.
Will do. Thank you, George. My
All right.
regards to yours as well. Take care. All right.
Thank you.
All right then.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
So till next month, in the month of August, We will see again. Have a blessed week. Bye and God bless.